All right, everybody, we are live here at C.L.A. Title from our homes, except for Matt Landberg, who's in the office. Hey, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. C.L.A. Title and Escrow, we're going live talking about COVID-19 contract addendums. Jim Savitz here, who's been an attorney in the real estate industry for over a long time, is going to go over what you real estate agents need to know, what you got to know about what's it called, these contract addendums. I got with me my business partner, the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Landsberg, who's also here helping out, going to ask some questions to make sure everyone feels comfortable. Leave questions below, guys. If you want to ask some questions, we'll get to those as well if you can, but we're going to try to keep this between 6 to 10 minutes long at the most. So Matt, if you want to start with maybe a question, or Jim, you want to kind of go, we're just free falling this. So.
Well, I guess I've got a question, Jim. I mean, there's a lot of new guidelines coming out and some new laws and legislation given the COVID era that we live in. If somebody's listing a property, what do they need to know? What's particularly different right now?
Oh my gosh, there's so many different things. One of my former law partners sent me some information about what's new with COVID, and I'm going to read a couple of these because it tells you how confusing the world is. Number one, basically, you can't leave the house for any reason. But if you have to, then you can leave the house. Masks are useless, but if you have to wear one, it can save you, but it's useless, but it may be mandatory. Stores are closed except those that are open. You see what I mean? Everything is confused. And in answer to your question, most recent addendum actually was an addendum to the listing agreement that MAR came out with. And it gives several different options for a seller to check off. One is the seller can elect to allow in-person showings. Another option is to allow only virtual showings. Or the third option is just to take the property off the market temporarily. Now, it's the actual in-person showings that become pretty tricky. A lot of companies are coming out with their own ideas about indemnifying the agents, indemnifying the seller, providing different protections if you're going to do an in-person showing. I've seen a lot of listings that say you are not allowed to show the property unless you first show me a pre-qualification letter. You are not allowed to show the property unless you give me a pre-screening form telling that you have not shown any signs of COVID, which of course is kind of useless because everybody's saying you can have COVID and not show signs. One of the companies has an addendum that's pretty long. It's a full page long saying, I have not seen anybody that's got COVID. I don't know anything about COVID. I feel great. It goes on, and it says, I indemnify the agent, the brokerage, and everybody else if it turns out that there is an illness that's passed on. So the MAR form is pretty similar, in fact, to the COVID addendum that GCAR came out with. Although that addendum, instead of addressing the listing side, is an addendum between the buyers and the sellers. And this one's kind of amusing to me, although I shouldn't find it particularly amusing. It talks about if there are permitted delays, and they talk about a permitted delay is if any of the parties are infected with COVID. Okay, that's likely to slow down your settlement and slow down the process. But in both the GCAR addendum and the MAR addendum to the contract, it says a delay is if there's a quarantine. Well, guess what, guys? We're under a quarantine. So immediately everybody falls within the parameters of the addendum. It says if there's, in the GCAR addendum says if there's a work stoppage or if there's any other problem COVID related beyond the control of the buyers or sellers. So if you fit within that, then the addendum goes on to say, first you'll extend the contract and any inspections, any contingencies or anything else, and it gives you a time frame to put in. If you don't meet those time frames, then there's another time frame after which, if you can't get the settlement, either the buyer or the seller could cancel the contract. Now, what I really see happening is, again, if I look at the MAR form, it's even funnier because it says that a delay can be caused by a declaration of local, state, or national emergency. Guess what?
We're in a national emergency.
That's us.
We're under a state of emergency. If there's an inability to travel, subject to voluntary or involuntary quarantine, all these conditions are already met. So what it boils down to is, agents, you really need to communicate very well with the buyers, with the sellers. Everybody needs to be on the same page. Yes, we're going to have these addenda, but I think the key is we all have to work together to get the cases to closing and to get the contract signed. I think agents are doing a real good job with digital signing and the signing of the contracts. Even a lot of the documents can be signed online with DocuSign. And everybody has to understand these are different times. What about a home inspection? Who's allowed in the home inspection? I've seen people are doing them on Zoom and on FaceTime. What about the final walkthrough? There's not great answers to all this, but the key I would have to say to all of it is, more than ever before, everybody has to work together, because these addenda that say they're indemnifying people and holding harmless, it's only as good as the paper that it's written on. I've seen a couple of different brokerages that have their own forms, and it says in the listing agreement, agents, if you or sellers, if you allow agents and prospective buyers into your property, you're not going to be mad at us or hold us harmless if anybody gets sick. The other side, I've seen buyers, if you go into a property, you're going to indemnify us and hold us harmless. So there's a myriad of issues that are coming up, and I've seen tremendous cooperation among the parties. I've been very impressed with the buyers, sellers, agents, lenders. Everybody knows that we're in the most unusual time of our lives, and they're all working together.
Nice. Hey, Jim, I got a question for you. Do you think agents, for the whole harmless questions or comment that you make, do you think agents can be held accountable for letting buyers into someone's house and then someone?
It's only a problem if it's a problem.
Yeah.
And based on all of the guidelines, if you go into a house, if you bring someone into a house, they need to wear masks, gloves. And if I'm a seller or if I'm an agent, I'm going to tell my seller, look, before somebody comes into that house, what I would like to see you do is turn on every light switch, open every door so that people don't have to touch things. I even recommended yesterday to somebody, put a paper towel or something next to every faucet or every toilet If somebody wants to flush a toilet or turn on a faucet, let them use the paper towel and then throw it away so you don't have to touch things, so there's that much less chance of passing on something. But in the real world, the indemnities are nice, but how are you going to enforce them? I think it's more to just raise awareness that we have to use every bit of caution that we possibly can.
All right. Well, I think we're over our 10 minutes. So, Matt, do you have anything you want to add? Jim?
No, I think that was great. Thanks, Jim. That was very informative.
Well, thank you. The good thing is you cut me off because I can talk about this stuff for the next hour or so and still not.
We know that.
You know, the big thing is that the laws keep changing, the recommendations keep changing, and we just have to keep working together and keeping each other informed, and we'll get through this.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, thanks everyone for watching. And if you guys have any more questions, you can contact Jim Savitz. I'm sure you have his contact information. I didn't put it up here on this screen because this is my second time only using it. So next time we'll have everyone's contact information. But have a great day and stay safe, guys.
Jay Savitz at CLAtitle.com.
There you go. Take care.